Hey friends, right now there is not a big color explosion happening in the cottage garden, but give this space just a few weeks and it will be absolutely exploding with color and pollinators all in thanks to these plants that I am going to be adding today in the garden. So part of garden design is choosing the right color palette. Today we're going to go with a classic, the blues with some yellow. That is right. We're going to be adding three different blue perennials along with one explosive bright cherry yellow perennial that, oh my goodness, I am in love with. Two of these are tried and true that I have used in the garden before, and then two are brand new to the market, but I am very excited to add them to the cottage garden. So without further ado, let's talk plants and let's get to planting. First up on the list, y'all, my absolute favorite lavender on the market. If you know me, you already know what it is. That is right, phenomenal lavender. Y'all, this is the lavender for the South. If you have tried all different kinds of lavender in your life and you've never been able to grow it well in the South, then try out phenomenal. It's no secret that this is my all-time favorite lavender. And so what we're going to do today is I have got some holes up here right against the wall. I did have boxwoods up there. I had 3 boxwoods on each side. And the winter was really, really rough on those boxwoods. I had tons of burn and I'm gonna have to cut a ton of the foliage back in order to rejuvenate it. So what I did is I went ahead and dug them up. I'm going to do that cut back, fertilize them, repot them. Once they have bounced back, we'll add them to another part of the garden. But years and years ago, a little story time here, Mimi and I would take the kiddos and we would go up to the Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina. Very easy drive for us where we are. And one of the first times we were there, in the gardens, there was a hedge of lavender right up against a wall just like this, a solid hedge of lavender. And it was the most stunningly beautiful thing I have ever seen in my life. And I've always wanted to recreate that. So today is the day. We're going to keep it really simple, sweetie, because we've got a lot of plants that are already in here, but the lavender is going to be like the chef's kiss and be so fragrant. And of course, the pollinators love it. Where the 3 holes are, that is exactly where the lavender is going to go. So like I said, I have got 3 holes on each side of the wall. They are kind of evenly spaced, so we're going to be planting them there. This will be the perfect spot because of course it is at the top of the hill. Lavender loves it well draining, so the water will shed away from it. Up against the stone, it is nice and hot, which of course the lavender does love. And phenomenal will get to be a good size. With the blooms, it'll be about 3 feet tall, 2 to 3 feet wide. I have got my biotone with me, of course, and then the Jenny's Edition. We are going to be using the 7-inch auger today because that is perfect for 1 gallon, and that's what I have. So without further ado, let's get lavender in the ground. The 6 phenomenal lavenders have been planted and already they are making such a fun statement with their blue-green foliage. This is just going to be a phenomenal experience having these right here on the wall. I'm very, very excited about this. I have big, high hopes for this phenomenal lavender. If you're wondering that if phenomenal might be a good fit for you, it is hardy in zones 4 to 9. Like all lavender, it wants to be in the full sun, so that means a minimum of 6 hours of sun a day. It will be in that 2.5 tall and wide range. Of course, here in North Carolina, it'll be a beautiful evergreen. These plants sat out on the nursery tables all winter long. So all of the perennials that I'm planting today are very cold hardy, and phenomenal is great for anything that you can think about using lavender for. If you want to have it just in the garden for flowers and fragrance and to attract your pollinators, it's got you. If you want to cut it and use it in flower arrangements, if you wanted to do like and dry it and do like little sachets, absolutely. And of course, even for culinary purposes, you could totally use that phenomenal lavender. It really is the best lavender for the heat and the humidity. So we have got one in. Next, we have got a new hyssop. That's right, my friends. So if you've got deer and rabbits and you've got a full sun garden, but you still want to have it beautiful flowers, hyssop just might be the one for you. Let me introduce to you a new hyssop from Proven Winners. This is Nectar Ninja. Now I have two. I have three more, but I left them because I think I'm going to put them in the signature garden. So we're going to put two in the cottage garden today. Now Nectar Ninja is going to be a beautiful, refined hyssop that is known for its beautiful fragrance, soft lavender blue blooms, has a natural, rounded, compact habit, very drought tolerant, loves the full sun, and average to poor soils. Hello, we love that. So Nectar Ninja is different in that if you can't grow lavender or a Nepeta, then this is a great option for you. Or in my case today, we're adding it to those two. It is going to be hardy in zones 4 to 9, basically 2 feet tall, 3 feet wide. Like I said earlier, it is going to be deer and rabbit resistant and attract your butterflies and bee friendly. Before I show you where Nectar Ninja is going to go in the garden, I want to introduce you to a new Nepeta. This is from our friends at Walter's Gardens, y'all. Nepeta, of course, catmint, is another great full sun, drought tolerant, deer resistant, rabbit resistant perennial that your pollinators love. It is perfect for the cottage garden. Now this one, y'all, is very unique. It is not like the Nepeta maybe that you think of. Why? Well, first of all, let me tell you its name, and then I bet you'll figure it out. It's called Tall Tails. Tall Tails Nepeta. Just by looking at these pots, you can probably tell that this is going to be a nice, vigorous Nepeta. Beautiful foliage on it, nice big leaves. Now, Tall Tails, as you might suspect, this is going to be the tallest Nepeta that Walter's Gardens is offering. This will be about 32 inches tall and 36 to 40 inches wide. But even being that large, it is going to have really nice, strong, sturdy stems. Another reason that you may want this is because it is going to bloom earlier than other Nepeta. It is hardy in zones 3 to 8. Like I said earlier, tons of sun, low to average water needs, and just is an early to late summer, early fall kind of bloomer. It attracts your butterflies, your hummingbirds, very bee friendly. Of course, helps keep out the other critters, but I'm excited to add this Tall Tails. I do have all 5 of them here. It is going to bring me lots of height and color and structure. So let's figure out where those are going to go, and then we'll get these 2 plants planted and I will show you where they go. hyssop and the Nepeta are in. Now with my Nepeta, the tall tails, being the tallest of the perennials that I'm planting today, I wanted to stick it towards the back so it can just be a beautiful focal point in the back of the garden. It may seem obvious, but sometimes we have to think about, okay, we want to work from the tallest to the shortest, and then of course being on a hill, then that dramatically helps get those plants raised up and put them in the spotlight even more. There was a total of 5 of the Tall Tails Nepeta. So we have got one right here. Then we've got one up here just to the left of the snowflakes. So the great thing about that, you may think, well, Jenny, why in the world would you plant it so close to that plant? Well, my snowflakes are a spring blooming flower, right? And so they have their bulbs. They're going to finish flowering, the foliage is going to die back naturally, and then the Nepeta is going to shine. This is a great example of succession planting. Let those plants be really close to each other because they're going to grow, bloom, and thrive at completely different times. So we've got one there, then we've got another Nepeta up here at the top. You can see where I've disturbed the soil, so we've got that one. And then the fourth one we have got right here behind the pot that has the Japanese maple in it with the fire chief, your lamb's ear. It is right there. I did have to be careful because by nature I wanted to move it down a little bit. But this is my Amsonia, and my gosh, if y'all remember this Amsonia, when she gets to rolling, she's huge. She's beautiful, but she's massive. I've already got new growth popping up down there. So as soon as we can get out of this crazy cold temperatures, she is really going to take off. So I had to make sure to give plenty of room between the tall tails and then the Amsonia. Then we've got the hyssop here. So we have only to put 2 hyssops total in the garden. So I did 1 on each side. So here we have the Nectar Ninja right here, very close to the Stokes asters. So that will be beautiful together. And then let's see. Yep, down here, then we put the other hyssop and the last of the Nepetas. So I went ahead and put the hyssop right here, the Nectar Ninja, and y'all, wouldn't you know it, just my luck. So this was my first hole. I moved all the mulch out of the way, thought I had seen some bare dirt, went and put the auger down, started drilling, and it was just spinning. That is never a good sign. So then I dig a little bit more. Yep, I like nailed the irrigation line dead on. And just a little bit, enough of that tip of that auger poked a hole in the irrigation tubing. It's a drip line. So it's like nice, thick, brown drip line that has emitters like every 12 to 18 inches in it. So I was like, wouldn't you believe it? So part of me was like, oh, I'll just deal with it later. But that never happens and it causes problems. So I went ahead and cut it, and then the coupler is such a big pain in the rear. So I called Jackson, and Jackson came and fixed it for me. So I got the hyssop planted with one little minor mishap on, the very first hole. And then we've got the other Nepeta back here in the back. It's going to shine. So right between the fire chief and the upright yew, in front of the monarder, next to the phlox, behind the agastache. I mean, y'all, I'm telling you, I am jam-packing this cottage garden filled with beautiful flowering perennials. So that's going to give me some nice height and some structure, and then of course the beautiful blue flowers. So we've got all 3 of the blue perennials in. Phenomenal Lavender, the Nectar Ninja Hyssop, and the Tall Tails Nepeta. Going to be great. Blue is a great way to like cool down the garden as far as from a design perspective. I love color. I love color in my clothes. I love color in my garden. And a cottage garden just lends itself to having just like an explosion of color. But you gotta kind of have a little bit of a rhyme and reason to what you're putting in there, right? So by having 3 different plants, but essentially having the same color of the flower, it just ties in that bed all together, right? And then of course, I have got other purples and blues and reds and pinks and everything in there. But we've got one last plant to add. Y'all, this is the plant that blew me out of the water last year. It is Rudbeckia Indian Summer. Now, technically, it should be hardy for me here in a zone 8, but I have found and heard from other gardeners as well that it's more like a biannual, meaning it will last 2 years and then it kind of peters out. I don't care if I have to plant this thing every single year, because the way it performed last year, there's not words. Spectacular, gorgeous, stunning, beautiful, magnificent, fantastic. There's not a thesaurus big enough for me to describe how beautiful this plant was. So why do I love it so much? Well, I think one, the pictures will speak for itself, but it gets some nice height to it, which last year I didn't quite realize it was going to be that tall, hence why I put it at the front of the bed. It's all right, we live and learn. She was in the spotlight, it was fine. But she gets some height to it, about in that 18, 24 inches or so. The blooms on it are huge and like the most electric, rich, yellow, golden color. And when I say it did not stop blooming till the end of the season, it did not stop. It kept going and going and going and going and going. And when I saw it on an availability list when we were ordering things from the nursery, I told Cece, I was like, get them. So we have got 5, I've got 5, and then we've got more at the nursery. So if you love it as much as I do, Indian Summer is for you. Now, I'll show you the pot here in just a second. It's not much to look at right now because it's pretty much dormant. There is some green to it, and that is something that I do love about it, is that if you plant it in the fall, which is what I did the first year, plant it in the fall, you're going to have a little bit of that green foliage all year, even in the winter time, so that way you don't have to worry about putting another plant on top of it, which I may or may not have done before. But it's hardy in zones at 3 to 8. It says blooms in mid-summer to early fall. Now, for us, it started blooming early. Like, it was earlier than that. Of course, I am in North Carolina. Plant full sun, partial sun. Yeah, it says 36 inches. So there you go. Space them 2 feet apart. Enormous 6 to 9 inch flowers. Yeah, that's exactly right. So because blue and yellow, they complement each other so nicely. They just make everything, they're like the yin and the yang of the garden. So that's what we're putting in here. I kind of have an idea of where I want to put them. I'm thinking I'm going to put probably either 3 or 4 in the bigger section. And then because this flower bed is smaller, I may only have room to put 1. We're just going to play around and see where they go. But it's going to be the same as always, right? Whenever I plant, I use my auger, watching out for irrigation and lighting wires, drill my hole, put the biotone in, put the plant in, bring back the native soil, bring back the mulch, boom, there you go. So we're going to figure out where these go, and these are the last of the deliveries. Listen to me, the deliveries. I see something. Let me show you. We'll see if the camera picks it up. But speaking of deliveries, when I said the last of the deliveries, do you see what truck that is? Yep, it's the Proven Winners truck. So I'm not planting deliveries, I'm planting some perennials, some Rudbeckia. So while my team takes care of that truck, we're gonna get these Rudbeckia in the ground. All right, my friends, so we got the 5 Indian Summers in. Last year, I had quite a few of them down. They were more down towards in this area. And I'm happy to report that it looks like one has got some signs of life to it right there. So we will see if she comes back with a vengeance. And then I did find some sticks of another one, possibly some foliage deep down in there. I'm not holding my breath, and that is okay. So if we have the one here, that would make a total of 6. So we would have 1, then we put 1 up there kind of to the left of the lamb's ear, and then in front of the butterfly bush. So nice big pop of color right there. Another one here at the fire chief. And then the third one or fourth one, depends on how you want to look at it, would be here down on the end. So really trying to spread them out so they will make a nice statement in the bed, and your eye will flow down the flower bed and following those pops of that bold gold color. And then in the smaller of the beds, we have 2 more. I'm trying to remember where we put it. That's right. Okay. So then there's one up here at the top right here. And then the other one is actually hiding. It is just right in front of Babe and kind of hiding here on the edge of the wall. Again, the snowflakes are going to die down. Foliage is going to die down, and the Indian summer is going to come into all of its glory. So right now it looks like really odd placement to it, but I'm envisioning with that snowflake foliage being completely gone, and being that this is the end of the flower bed, having that pop of color at the very end up against those lower petalums will really draw your eye all the way down the flower bed and make a big impact. So while I know that there is not a ton of interest, there certainly is interest in the flower bed, but there's not the big flower power that is to come. But just give this bed a few weeks, a few months. It is going to be an explosion of color, and it is going to be fantastic. The pollinators are going to love all of these plants that we have put in. So whether you're looking to support your bumblebees, your honeybees, your butterflies, your hummingbirds, whatever it may be, beneficial wasps, you name it, they are going to love these perennials. So go ahead, get those plants in the ground now. Get the work done when you don't have to sweat. Can I get an amen from my fellow Southerners? And get them in the ground, and then that way those roots can get established. And the payoff very soon is going to be here in all of its absolute beautiful glory. So have fun in your garden. That's what gardens are supposed to be, and bring us some joy, not stress. And so a little work right now brings big rewards later on in the season. As always, we hope you found this fun, informative, inspirational. Y'all have an amazing day. Sweet Thing just got home. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.